All right, man, you know, there's a few things in life when it comes to working that makes me more excited than doing conversions. It's one of my favorite things. I've been doing this for 18 years, and thus the reason it's literally 10:05 p.m. Not that that's all that late, and I'm out here cranking. We put a lot of these together, but we've never taken the time to really photo it after it's done. We sell them, and you know, people just trust us. We have good reviews. We appreciate that. But there's never a full, like, you know, and I'm not going to go over every little thing, but I'm going to go over, you know, upgrades you can do from here. And I got something really cool in the next video. You're going to see an additional one you can go to. So what is this? Well, we clearly got an engine, some components, maybe some brackets, some wiring. Any of you guys guess what we're doing here? If you know who we are, partsbreakers.com, Jeeps Unlimited, been around since '84. I've been doing this, like I said, about 18 years, so quite a while. Of course, Gunnison's gonna be, he wants to be in the main shot, so come on, Gunny. Anytime I get the camera out, this guy is the star of the show, come on. All right, so you probably, if you do know who we are and you've seen some of our ads or you've gone to our website, you probably have pondered over maybe some of our conversions. Maybe that be in power steering conversion. Maybe it's an AC conversion. I mean, we have transmission conversions. We have, you know, from auto to manual, manual to auto. We have upgraded transmission conversions. So we have a lot of those, and really, after all these years of doing this, I'm actually about to take a drastic change of direction, and we're gonna do a lot more of this stuff. We're gonna slim our master list, as we call it, down to 1,000 products, something maybe a little bit more manageable than the 10,000 or more that we try to manage now. And we're really gonna go after the stuff that has become next to impossible to get now. With that said, there's gonna be people out there that are gonna look at this and they're gonna go, well, I can get that, I can get that. And yeah, you can piecemeal some of this stuff. You're not gonna be able to get all of it in one shot. And I had a guy, I'm gonna say his name just because we're, you know, but became friends in the transaction. Hope you're doing well. He's down in Arizona. And one of the things he told me after selling him a ton of parts and a ton of parts that did not belong to the same Jeep. And we started off, you know, on one thing, and that led to another. Hey, well, what about this? Can you help me on this project? Because he had multiple projects going on. I said, yeah, actually I can. So I've always prided at one-stop shop, and even though we may not be inventorying that part that you need anymore, you can always call us. It just means we're not going to have it on the catalog. So it doesn't mean it's not going to be out here. It just means you'll have to pick up the phone. And people usually pick up the phone to call us anyway, so I don't think you're going to see that big a shift there. We're just trying to make it so that if you are a web person or like to go to web and don't like to talk to people, you can get to our site, you can find what you're looking for, you can check out, easy peasy. And people that don't like that and want to talk to a person, we're always going to have our phones open. So, but anyway, one of the things that he told me at the very end, and this is after he spent a great deal of money, respectfully, he said, Jeremy, I don't think you understand how valuable the service you provided me was. And, you know, of course, try to be as humble as, you know, as I've always been, or try to be anyway. I took a step back and was like, oh, well, I appreciate that. I'm not sure what that means in this case, but thank you. And he said, no, let me tell you. And so he had been, you know, been around the block. He'd been multiple businesses, and he said, it's so rare to find a shop that I can get everything I need, and I don't have to call 50 different people and have 50 different attitudes and 50 different ways they do it. So, and it just was really nice. It took us a few weeks to get everything dialed in, but once we got it all, and it was awesome. I enjoyed that transaction, not only because it was something we made money on or we sold, you know, whether we make money or not, that's debatable sometimes, but it was just a pleasure, and I love to do that, and that is kind of why I'm so excited to go into this direction. So without further ado, I want to clarify a couple things here. This video is going to be for, it's going to represent, I should say, all of the conversions, and this is going to be a 2. So what we're looking at here is, this is actually a customer that had a Renix, so that's going to be your 87 to 90 Jeep Comanche and Jeep Cherokee XJs. Only the 87 to 90 Renix. If you're not familiar with that, that's okay. It's a 4-liter, but it's a non-high output 4-liter. And there's a couple weird things about those. There's nothing to knock on them. I'm not going to get into the debate on, there's a lot of people out there that don't like that system. There's a lot of people that like that system. So we sell them. We sell those motors, those harnesses, and yada, yada, yada. But increasingly, those parts are even harder to find. And then there's some compatibility issues down the road when you're trying to do something. So if you are in that camp and have a Renix and it's tired or worn out, or you're wanting to get a high output in there, you're going to need some of this stuff, if not all of it. Now, again, you can source what you want. The way this kit is going to be set up is the initial listing, which will be the listing I put up here in a few minutes after I get done doing the videos and photos, will be fairly basic. It's going to have an engine. It's going to have your bracket, your necessary brackets. What are necessary brackets? Well, alternator. Okay, that's a necessary bracket. Power steering. I guess that's necessary. Now, I said it, I guess. Well, that's only because not all Jeeps have power steering. So we'll include that one on this initial one, especially in the Cherokee line. When it comes to the YJ line, we might even see a more basic, because there were a lot of YJs that were non-power steering. That doesn't mean you can't get it or add it on. That's kind of the point here. So we want to build these to price, obviously, and we want to price them so that people can afford them. And maybe you can afford some of it, but you can't afford the whole shebang. So that's why we're going to do it that way. But in this particular kit, what you see is what you'll get. The only difference will be is if you do have a YJ, you'll get, so this is just showing the power steering. I don't want to confuse you guys here. It's showing an AC compressor, assuming you had AC on your old Jeep, there you go. If you don't, then you look for the kit that doesn't have an AC compressor in it. There will be an opportunity, or, well, I shouldn't say that will be there. We'll keep the AC conversion kits, which we do sell on their own. This is just the case that, let's just say the customers we're working with, in this case, it is correct. They have AC. We want to make sure we get them an AC compressor that will bolt on to the setup we're sending them, okay? So that's all that means. So if you don't have AC or you don't want AC anymore, that's fine. We can knock off a little bit for the compressors. They're not worth a ton, but we'll give you a little bit of credit on that, and we'll move forward. Power steering, same way. In this kit, it will be power steering setup. That doesn't mean you're going to get a gearbox. That assumes you had a gearbox, which means you had a power steering gearbox is what I should say. Y'all have gearboxes, but maybe not that. So again, as we sell these kits, we will list more of these. But in the beginning, manpower being short, and just the way we cash flows this company and always have, this is going to represent a good idea on what you're going to receive if you were to be going from either a Renix system, 87 to 90, or maybe you're an 87 to 90, or even prior to that, a V6 2.8 Cherokee or Comanche, or a 2.5, and you're wanting to get a 4-liter, and you want to go with a high output right away. So this kit will give you all that to do that, okay? And then again, I'm going to use this loosely to represent a YJ. Now, immediately, I know I'm going to get people calls and goes, well, that doesn't look like my YJ gauge cluster. No, it does not. That's a Cherokee one. You'll get a YJ one. You'll get a YJ center gauge setup, okay? And Cherokees didn't use them, so they had all the gauges on them one gauge. So just, again, look at this as a reference more than anything. And as we get more of these sold, like we have for a long time, I'll try to take the time and either update photos. It may not be an intent, like an all-involved video like this, with a nice crate in it, because that crate is one, we don't have those. but it will be nice and palleted and stuff, and we'll try to go through it. Now, we don't label our harnesses, but we do go through our harnesses. Not only do we go through our harnesses, but we actually make sure that our Jeeps run. Most of our Jeeps come in unwrecked. That doesn't always mean that they run and drive when they get here. A lot of times they had an issue. That's why they sold it to us. So, and in that case, Jerry is a fantastic engine electrical guy, and he will get this stuff running. If it does not run, we will not sell you components like an ECM or like a wiring harness. We don't want you to go through the hassle, same with the engine, of course, but we don't want you to go through the hassle of putting all this in, and one of those, especially one of those, because they're a little more involved to install, is bad. Now, if you get a bad power steering pump or a bad AC compressor and alternator, we'll send you another one. No big deal. Those are easy to put on, easy enough. But so some of those components, the charging one's easy, the power steering's fairly easy. AC doesn't always work when we get them, and we're not going to go through the hassle of charging them up. So we're going to send you what it had, and if you get it on there and it works, hold pressure, great. You're going to need a few other components when you put that on. Feel free to call us, and I'll explain what you need. Usually condenser, dryer, orifice, blah, 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 okay? All right, so we'll go through this real briefly, what it takes to do a 2.5 YJ or 2.5 Cherokee Comanche or Renix, okay? And again, that's going to vary somewhat, but the gist of it is this. Obviously, you need an engine. This engine has not only been ran, but it's had compression done. We do that on every single engine we sell. We've been doing this a long time. I don't get a lot of engines back, but I'll tell you, the ones I do, I can almost remember every single one of them because I eat the shipping on them, and I got to ship you a new motor. So we go above and beyond what most yards do. Not only do we get them running, but we always check compression. And in the case that we have a variation of plus or minus whatever that is for that engine, we'll put that one on the back burner, and at a time when Jerry can go through these things, he'll pop the head, and well, before he does that, he'll do a leak down and see where we're losing compression. Maybe that be in the valves, maybe that be in the rings. That determines what we do with that engine. It might just need a light go through the top end, and that is a lot of times what happens on these motors. They get carboned up, and compression starts leaking out that those valves. So, okay, that's all I mean for that. Okay, no big deal. Now, hypothetically, you see a kit online. You don't see them very often because realistically, these are fairly hard to put together, and they're getting even harder. You don't want to miss your opportunity because last time you did, it waited another 6 months till one popped up. But you're not going to be installing it till winter season. That's our big project season. What do? Well, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can lock it in, pay for it. We can store it, ship it when you need it. We have 7 acres out here. I don't have a lot of enclosed room, so I prefer not to go that route because that can drag on and drag on and drag on. But we will in some cases. What else we can do is we'll ship it to you, and it's kind of a gentleman's agreement. There's a form we do and stuff to kind of cover all the basics. But essentially it just says our warranty, which is 90 days on used components, starts from the day of install. I've never had somebody lie about it. I'm sure there'll be somebody out there that'll do it eventually, but it's always worked really well. And you just email us. Usually you email us before you get started. Hey, those are all the pieces. I haven't put them in yet. And when you get it installed, hey, got it installed, it's up and running. We want to know that anyway, but it gives us the clock we can start for you. Trust me, if you have an engine that you get in and it runs, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to need anything on that motor in 90 days. I realize that's kind of a twofold answer because maybe in a year, but the likely chance on these motors is there's a lot of life left in them. Just take care of them. You know, there's things that we can do here to increase, increases the cost obviously, but maybe increase the longevity of them, reseals, oil pumps, timings. We can do all that too. We're really backed up right now, so we're not taking on a lot of that, but we can. It's no big deal. Or you can do it, but we recommend doing that if you're wanting to get 10 years out of a used motor. It's probably important. If you're not wanting to get that long out of it, you're going to be flipping it, whatever it may be, throw it in there and it'll run fine, and it'll probably give you a couple years out of it, if not a lot more. years out of it. I mean, a lot of these motors don't have very many miles on them, and I've seen these motors go 300-400K. So, okay, get an alternator that goes craps out on you, that's okay. Give us a call. We'll send you another one. It's not a big deal. I got a ton of them out here. The parts that are hard to get, we really check, are the wiring harnesses, the ECMs, especially on the certain ones that are getting really hard to get. Those ones are checked out prior to sending them. You need to be very careful. You get all your grounds done. You don't want to short an ECM out. There's warranties on that stuff, but it doesn't work like mechanical parts do, okay? So, again, you let us know when you put it in. We'll explain those to you. So, but my point is that every single thing in this essentially video will allow you to take whatever it is you have, maybe it's not even a Jeep, and essentially get your wiring, your computers. I mean, look, we even got it down to the coolant, the washer reservoirs. I know those, again, keep in mind, those two are going to look different from a model like a YJ to a Cherokee. Gauge cluster, again, different. Airbox, again, different. A lot of these brackets, some of these work on YJs, some of them don't. Some of them have slight variations. Those two almost look identical. Intake and exhaust manifold. Power steering pumps are similar. Alternator similar. AC pumps are similar. Fans and fan clutches are different. So, okay. But that's it. So, now, this is going to go live here probably about midnight tonight when I get finished with this project, load it up, and then I'm going to drive to Denver tonight, which none of my guys know. But it's been a little slow lately. It always is. Come June, July, it's obviously the time people are out playing. So instead of waiting for the phone to ring tomorrow, I'm going to be proactive, get off my butt, go down there. I was hesitant to do that because it's been over 100 degrees every single day this week, which is absolutely scorching when you're trying to work in a junkyard. And tomorrow happens to be the only day that we're supposed to be in the 80s, and 80s are great because we can get a lot done in the yard. The sun doesn't wear you out. But these guys are waiting on this kit so they can get started. This is actually shop we're delivering this stuff for. We want to make sure their experience with us, just like anybody, if it's a private person or a shop, is easy peasy. We especially, and even though I'm not discounting what individuals, because that's a lot of our customers are just Joe Schmo like myself. But when we know that, your time is valuable, we really appreciate that, and we don't take that for granted. So I want to make sure the hardware is all here, and you can see there's a little baggie there, Ziploc baggie. When you're doing this swap, whether it's YJ or XJ, MJ, doesn't matter, TJ even, and again, we sell these kits for TJs, 2 5s to 4 liters or 2 4s to 4 liters. So just give us a shout, and I'm sure we can put something together for you, or at least get you locked in for the next one. So, but on that note, we don't want you to have to go source hardware. I don't go through labeling each and every bolt, just like we don't label our wiring harness. Could you pay us more, and could we do all that? Sure, but it'd be a lot more, okay? It's fairly easy on the plugs for the wiring. And I say that loosely because it is. I mean, it truly is. Plugs usually, a lot of these harnesses have one plug that goes to one thing, and they don't usually use the same style plugs for multiple things like I do see on some other manufacturers sometimes. And the same thing goes for hardware, okay? Now, hardware can get a little tricky because there's links involved, but again, you got, let's see, alternator mount here, 3, right? Find the right pitch for them. Find the one just like when you're putting together something at IKEA. Find your bolts that are 3 because they're all going to be the same for those, or should be. If you get something, I would always suggest hand doing it. If you get something that feels like it bottomed out too quickly, it's probably not the right bolt, and go the next one, okay? Now, with that said, a lot of your hardware from your old engine is going to share, if not the same, very similar bolts. So as you pull your old stuff out, try to keep it together roughly. And you're going to want to use that to either identify the bolts out of here or just reuse them. But you'll know you'll have some backups there, okay? So, again, my name is Jeremy. It's 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. Summer is, we didn't even get a spring, so we're up and running full scale all summer long. But again, I always tell people our project seasons usually start fall and go till about this time, June. And sometimes we get a little slow July, August, but that doesn't always happen. Last year we were smoking busy the whole time, so we'll see. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, so see what's in store for us. But we appreciate everything you guys do and keeping an eye on us, watching these, requesting these kind of videos and whatnot. So please, 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 please stick around. Check out the next video I put up. These parts won't be in it. Well, they'll be in it. They'll be in that box. But there's another, and I'll just tell you what it is here. This shop, this customer of theirs, wanted the whole shebang. So they got the AC, they got the power steering, they got the 4-liter high output, they got all the brackets, blah, blah, blah. They got all that. What else did they get? They got an AX15 conversion because they had a Peugeot. That's the BA10. They did those 87, 89. So, and we're converting that to external slave. So that's going to be really cool. We'll have that put in that box. And then we got them a new clutch. We got them a flywheel, and I think we had, pre-bled slave cylinder. That will all be in those photos. Those parts are actually new on them. So super cool ones. Yes, you can get out, dish out a lot of money on doing this stuff, but I do feel like a lot of these projects, especially if you got something to hold on to for a few years or something that's been passed down to you, they're usually worth it. So, okay. Again, I appreciate everything. Thank you so, so, so much from my family to yours, and have a great summer.